This module is part of the Canadian Injury Prevention curriculum. Audio is required for an enhanced learning experience. Throughout the module, you can access the glossary by clicking the upper left-hand corner in the toolbar above the video and the resources below the video. If at any time you are confused, stuck, or need help, you can click on the upper right-hand corner in the toolbar above the video. Welcome to Introduction to Behavior Change for Injury Prevention Practitioners. This module will provide you with a basic overview of behavior change theories, including why they are important, how they can be integrated into injury prevention interventions, and some examples of successful interventions that have incorporated the principles of behavior change. From the perspective of the public health approach and the evidence-informed health movement, behavior change theories are especially relevant when you are selecting and planning an intervention to reduce injury. Before we begin, we are going to do a pre-module quiz. For each of the 3 questions, please mark yourself on the line for how confident you are. This module contains a glossary that can be accessed anytime. The glossary contains terms and definitions that will be used throughout the module. If, at any time during the module, you would like to review a term's definition, this glossary can be accessed on the upper left tab in the toolbar above this video on the page where the resources are. By the end of this module, you will understand the importance and role of incorporating behavior change principles into injury prevention initiatives. You will gain a basic understanding of the complex nature of behavior change. Please take a minute to review these objectives. Human behavior is very complex, and changing behavior is often the goal of health promotion and injury prevention programs. Most injuries have a behavioral component and are therefore preventable. When we think of behavior change, we often think of individuals. However, we should consider behavior change in relation to families, communities, cultures, organizations, and governments. You learned about the 3 E's in Lesson 3, but it is important to review them now and think of these in context of behavior change. Education is an essential part of any comprehensive behavior change intervention. It's about raising awareness to change behavior, and it needs to be more than just conveying information. It can stimulate and sustain action. Some examples include initiatives to educate and train parents about reducing the risk of household exposure to prescription medications or cleaning agents. Enforcement refers to both informal strategies and formal policy implementation that creates an environment where the safer choice is the easy choice. Policy can be thought of in the domains of individual/family, organizational, and public. Examples of enforcement can be banning of products, i.e. baby walker, or legislation, i.e. bike helmet laws. Engineering is a method to design health-promoting environments by reducing exposure to hazards. This includes areas such as product design, i.e. baby car seats, or healthy communities, i.e. separated bike lanes. The E's have succeeded in shifting the focus of injuries as being seen as a responsibility of an individual person to more of a collective or societal role. Don't forget about the extra E's of economics, making injury prevention strategies cost-effective, evaluating the effectiveness of injury prevention intervention, and enablement and empowerment of individuals and society to work towards reducing injuries. Social and behavioral scientists have come a long way in understanding the determinants of a given behavior. There are a number of theories relevant to health behavior and injury prevention. Theories help to identify a key set of underlying variables relevant to any behavior and also provide diagnostic tools necessary to understand behavior. We will introduce a few of the most commonly used theories in injury prevention in a moment. Here are some common threads that underlie behavior change in an individual. Behavior change should be at the heart of most injury prevention interventions. They work in tandem with legislation, product development, and environmental engineering. For example, it would be great to provide people with high-quality bicycle helmets, but we still must ensure that people wear them. Behavior change theories suggest people might not wear a helmet if they believe it is uncomfortable, unaesthetic, too difficult to use, or not seen as an acceptable behavior by their peers. This highlights the multidisciplinary nature of injury prevention work, where behavioral scientists must work together with product developers and legislators. Applying evidence specific to behavior science can increase the effectiveness of the injury prevention intervention or program. Dr. Carly McKay is a lecturer in sport injury prevention and a member of the Center for Motivation and Health Behavior Change in the Department for Health at the University of Bath. Her primary research interests include the psychological and behavioral aspects of sport injury risks and rehabilitation, and her current work examines the use of health behavior change models in the design and national level implementation of injury prevention programs in rugby in the UK and soccer in Canada. Here, Dr. McKay speaks about the importance of incorporating behavior change principles into the design of injury prevention interventions. Using theories and models to guide the content and process of an injury prevention intervention increases the likelihood of positive outcomes. It is ideal to have a general understanding of a broad range of different theories and how they can be applied to various contexts and situations. Here are 3 well-known behavior change theories used in injury prevention. We will go over each of them briefly on the following slides. The widely used theory of planned behavior evolved from the theory of reasoned action, first proposed in the 1980s by Agen and Fishbein. The key concept in this theory is that beliefs and perception are primarily useful for predicting and influencing behavioral intention. Studies have found that intention can often predict behavior, but not perfectly, as there could be barriers to behavior or lack of opportunity to act. The theory of planned behavior focuses on how attitudes, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control influence intention. Attitudes are measures of beliefs about the consequences of the behavior in question and the relative importance of these consequences to the individual. Subjective norms are measures of beliefs about significant others' preferences and the individual's motivation to comply with others' wishes. Perceived behavioral control is related to barriers and facilitators to taking action and includes elements of self-efficacy and behavioral capacity. Self-efficacy can be thought of as one's belief in one's own abilities to perform a task. An example of how the theory of planned behavior has been used in injury prevention was with the development of a successful mass media intervention to reduce speeding in Scotland. Implemented in 1998, the Scottish Road Safety Campaign launched a 3-year campaign that was explicitly framed around the 3 main predictors of intention according to the TPB: attitude, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control. They targeted behavioral beliefs about the consequences of speeding, such as being caught by the police or injuring a pedestrian or causing a collision. Normative beliefs were targeted by examining how friends and family perceived speeding, and perceived control was targeted by reminding drivers that they were in charge of their own driving decisions including their own speed. Upon evaluation, support was found for the decision to use the TPB as a theoretical underpinning to predict speeding. They found significant changes in attitudes and beliefs about speeding among the public. The protection motivation theory is concerned with the role of information on attitudes and behaviors. It suggests that action, a behavior, is unlikely unless the individual perceives that the threat is relevant and important to them. Persuasion is needed to increase people's perception of the threat of a particular problem so they will seriously consider action. Threat appraisal and coping appraisal produce protection motivation, and protective motivation is the likelihood that the individual will engage in protective action. Threat appraisals include perceived susceptibility and vulnerability. Coping appraisals include behavioral capacity and self-efficacy. Using the protection motivation theory in injury prevention will involve the use of persuasive communication to increase the threat of injury as well as achievable and acceptable injury prevention strategies. Let's use an example of wearing a bicycle helmet. Overall, when an individual perceives that a threat is important and personally relevant to them, I am at risk of a head injury if I don't wear a helmet, and that the recommended action would provide useful protection, a helmet will protect my head, and they are confident about taking the action, I can wear a helmet, the motivation to initiate an action would be high, I will wear a helmet. The health belief model is one of the first developed to understand health-related behavior. The model stipulates that health behavior is related to 4 beliefs: belief about susceptibility to a condition, belief about the severity of a condition, belief that behaviors will reduce one's risk, and belief that benefits outweigh the costs or barriers. There is also the concept of individuals experiencing a cue to action. Later, the concept of self-efficacy, as we say in the TPB model, was added. This study evaluated the impact of a school-based helmet promotion program based on the HBM for adolescent drivers in Greece. There was a 1-month intervention based on the concepts of the HBM. In this intervention, education sessions were specifically targeted to address threat perception, behavioral evaluation, self-efficacy, and cues to action. The analysis revealed that there was a significant improvement in knowledge about helmet use. The impact on attitudes and beliefs varied across different schools, with some more effective than others. Here, we are going to play a true-false game. Select true or false for each of the following 10 statements. Self-reflection exercise. Take a few minutes on your own to consider various injury prevention interventions that you have been engaged with in the past. Dr. Ian Pike is co-executive director and spokesperson for the Community Against Preventable Injuries, aka Preventable, and an associate professor in the Department of Pediatrics at UBC. The Community Against Preventable Injuries, or better known simply as Preventable, is a nationwide multi-partner organization that has been raising awareness, transforming attitudes, and changing behavior of Canadians with regards to injuries for the past 7 years. Preventable has partnered with organizations across Canada to collaboratively work towards reducing the burden of injuries. Their original campaign was entitled Have a Word with Yourself, and their newest campaign aims to celebrate the shift in attitudes for the safer. Here is Dr. Ian Pike to speak on how behavior change theory has been a key part of Preventable. Here will be a selection of video clips from Preventable highlighting the use of behavior change principles. Participants can choose to watch one or multiple video clips. Here are two great resources if you are interested in expanding your knowledge of behavior change theories. The first is a freely available document from the National Cancer Institute and is an excellent 52-page resource. The second resource is a book by Nut Bean and colleagues, which provides a succinct description of various behavior change theories in relation to public health. Now it's time to complete the post-module quiz. There are two parts to complete the evaluation of this module. The first part is intended to assess if you have shifted your readiness to tackle behavior change interventions. The first question asks how you felt before you began the module and how you feel now that you have completed the module. The second question is about behavior change. The second part of the evaluation of this module is a feedback form. This feedback form will help us to improve the quality of this module. Please click on the link in the question panel to complete the survey.